getting set to take on Illinois. This man is 3-0 for the Nebraska Cornhuskers in the Big Ten. Matt Rhule, good to see you again, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
What do you think of my rule change here? If replay assist can see the first guy in, why just catch the second guy? Let's get the first guy. What do you think, Coach? What do you think of that?
When you first said it, I said, wow, that's brilliant. But,
Thank you.
but if I may,
please.
I do think, like everyone knows, they always get the second guy. So if you're the second guy, you should wait till the next play and be the first guy. And instigate. So I mean, like,
okay.
I feel like it's like we're like dumbing down civilization when we, using everything for everything. So,
listen, you found out my trick. It's my job to dumb down civilization, Matt. Okay. It's good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're having a lot of fun over here.
It sure looks it. And I'm wondering. Listen. You know your the narrative with you is it's the third year for you in a new spot where things turn around. You know, your two seems to be doing very well. I love watching your quarterback, man. I love him. What I know you're nodding your head. You can agree. So what did you see in this kid Dylan Raiola that you knew, like, I got to get him, Coach?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, like, when you talk to him, I mean, he's immensely talented with no ego. He has a lot of pride, but no ego. He's going to, and so you could feel that right off the bat, and you just kind of gravitate towards him. And, when you have a guy like him on our team that, everyone respects him, yet he's getting a lot of accolades, but he always keeps it about the team. Like that's a secret sauce. Like when you have your best players. And so, when your best players are team guys, man, you have a great chance to have a great team. And I recognized that pretty early in recruiting, and we were happy when he came here.
The first thing I reckon, what I saw about him, Coach, and I'm sure you've heard this too, he does look like Mahomes, like literally. And I know you faced Mahomes in the COVID year when you were in Carolina. Have you ever peripherally go, wait a minute, is that Pat? Have you done that yet?
Oh, well, I have to tell you, during my time in the NFL, I went to a lot of different pro days and watched a lot of different quarterbacks. And when I got here, I went and watched him throw in high school.
Okay.
And I texted our recruiting guy, and he said, how's he look? I said, he's Mahomes. And not just the facial and the mannerisms, like his arm, his ability to make throws off platform. I mean, just everything. And so that was my first thing. So now it's kind of funny to see everyone, I can't look at Instagram without seeing, someone putting them side by side. But the great thing is he's a winner, just like Patrick is.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you say that too. And obviously I'm going to marry the two comments that you've said together, that to say Mahomes out loud for a kid this age and obviously where he is in your program is one thing. But if you say he's egoless, no big deal, right? I mean, for you to throw that out there, would you say that, Coach?
Yeah, no doubt. I think I'm at a point in my life. I've got a son in college. I don't think there's anything wrong with all of our players with having high expectations and speaking like belief into them. Like I believe that Dylan has a chance to be one of the best players on the planet at some point. And so, I think that the key is whether it's him, whether it's his family, whether it's our players, whether it's me, like, we all just have to make sure that he continues to work at it, and all of our players continue to work at it. But I'm not one of those guys who's going to beat people down to get them to be good. I'm going to tell them what I expect of them, tell them what I see in them, and I see greatness ahead for him. And so the key now is just every day, are you being great? And he shows up every day with that kind of mindset.
Well, it seems that he leans into the Mahomes thing too. 15, he's got the headband. He sometimes wears, the blue blockers or whatever the hell they're called. I don't know. I mean, it seems like he leans into it, Coach. Right?
Well, I think, I grew up in New York City. Like, I was, I like to play pickup basketball. I had like my little Mark Jackson, like,
nice.
Little Mark Jackson running, baby hook jumper, we think we all like, we all mimic in some ways what we see. And so, I think the biggest thing with Dylan though is he's very secure in who he is. Right. So he might have some of those things that look like Patrick, and obviously he trains with him. And he does some of the same things because they use some of the same people. At the end of the day, he's very secure in who he is. And while, so far he's had all good days. And the one thing I've said to him is, I've watched, guys in the NFL, I've watched guys go off to the NFL. And at some point you're going to be defined by your bad days and how you respond to those days. It's happened to me in my coaching career, like how do you bounce back from adversity? And I think the great thing about Dylan is because he stays so humble and grounded, he's going to always know who he is. And if he does have a bad day, he'll bounce back.
Matt Rhule here on the Rich Eisen Show. So one thing that's also obvious about your team is you're getting better every week. You can see that. You can see that it's building, that you're ascending right now, and obviously not just in the rankings, number 22 nationally. What is your vision right here for the goal for this team this year, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be a team that's relevant nationally. We knew we were going to have that Colorado game early, and I told, I would say quite often to the media and to our guys, like, everyone's going to tune in to watch Colorado, and I have a lot of respect for Colorado, but I wanted people to leave saying, hey, that's a good football team. Now we're going to play a ranked Illinois team on Friday night, and people are going to watch, and I want them to say, hey, that's a really good football team. And so, to me, we want to go from kind of the obscurity we've been in to now being relevant nationally. We want to compete for the Big Ten. We want to compete to go to the college football playoff. But to do all that, you kind of have to do what we've done. You've got to win each week, and you've got to get a little bit better each week, because there's a big jump from Northern Iowa and the teams we played now to the Big Ten, and the Big Ten will beat you up and humble you. So we've got a lot to do, but I'm not afraid to tell the guys I have high expectations for the team.
Do you talk playoffs with them? Have you openly said that to them?
I do that. I put that up the entire offseason. I put that up at all training camp. I put up the college football playoff grid, because why else would you come to Nebraska? Why else would you do all the stuff we do to not have a dream of winning a national championship? And you walk in our building, you walk by 5 national championship trophies every day. There's people that have higher expectations maybe right now around them that don't have one. And so we know you can do it here. As we get into the season, though, as we get into this moment, I don't talk about it anymore. Now it's very simply, hey, this week, it's just one. If you want to achieve your goals, then you got to be great today, be great this week. So we try to temper it with, hey, we're doing all this work with this ultimate goal, and the only way to get to that ultimate goal right now is just, hey, everything's on Illinois, and they're a really good team. It'll be a battle of a game,
and a Friday night game, right? I mean, I think that's also a measure of respect and growth as well, that you're going to be under the lights at home on a Friday night, right?
Yeah, well, I think the big thing, Rich, for us is like our home atmosphere is amazing, and our night game atmosphere here at Nebraska is amazing, and so it's really like our own, with all respect to Texas A&M, it's kind of like our own 12th man out there, having that crowd and having that atmosphere. So we're lucky to our Friday night game, our first one of the year, is at home, and everyone will be watching. So we've got to play well. If you want to get interviews like this, if you want people to recognize your team, then you have to play well in big moments.
Well, Matt Rhule here on the Rich Eisen Show, and clearly you're not looking ahead. I am. I'm circling that date in the horseshoe, man. Like, that's what we're talking about, right? Like, these are. Do you have red letter games, any block letter games, anything that you do circle in front of your kids to look at stuff, or no?
Yeah, no, I don't, because honestly, I know that they do. I know that they have those things, and really, if you look at Nebraska over the last 15 years, what's happened. We've lost games we're supposed to win, and so it's my job to bring them back. But at the same time, not in a way that means I don't believe in them. It's just very simply like, what do great teams do? They go out every week and they beat teams they're supposed to beat. And if there's a team that's an even competition, they play at the highest level they can. And if there's a team that maybe they're not supposed to beat, they compete at a high level in that game. So really, at the end of the day, every week you come out and play well. And this is a short week for us, a Friday game. So I think that's good for us. Our guys have no time to kind of bask in, hey, we're 3-0 for the first time since whatever year. We got to get ready quickly for a really good team. But so I tried my best just to keep them kind of on today. Twitter and Instagram pulls them all the time ahead, and I'm always just trying to bring them back to, hey, right now.
Do you monitor those feeds, Coach? Do you monitor them
for those guys?
Yeah.
No. I follow a lot of our guys, and see their stories and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to be like an older brother or an uncle for them. But I don't tell them what to post. I don't tell them what to do. Just like my own son, I want my son to, I want him to go off to college. He's a freshman here in Nebraska. I want him to come back an adult. And so, we also obviously have standards. We want the guys to do things the right way, but they're young men. They've got to grow. And sometimes they'll say things. We had a player versus Colorado say some things that I wouldn't say. And, as I said to him, I said, hey, I wouldn't do that. Now you're going to have to stand on it and back up what you said. But I'm not here to tell them what to say.
Okay. So that was an interesting one. So did you address the Colorado statement with your team? Or
yeah. So what I did, Rich, was here I said it. I kind of didn't address it to the team after he said it, and he said, hey, they're going to need 2 guys to block me on kickoff or something like that. After the kickoff period, I was like, I made light of it, saying, hey, you better run down. You better be the first guy down there. And then after the game, after we won, that's when I addressed it. I said, guys, here's why. I can't tell you what to say, but here's why I don't believe in that. Number one, I expect us to win. So because I expect us to win, I never want to say anything bad about the opponent. I want all of our wins to be big wins over good teams. And I said, number two, the minute we say I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, then we have to back it up. And when we go into a game saying, hey, I need to do this because I said this, sometimes that means we don't do our assignment because we're trying to prove a point. And the way you win is for everyone to go out there and sacrifice for each other, no matter what it takes out there, not have a second agenda. So if I have an agenda, if players have an agenda, if the play caller has an agenda. So that's how I addressed it, and then I let it go. Again, they're great young men. As long as they're going to school and treating people well, we're just going to play ball and see what happens.
How's the game changed now that you're back in it from the Baylor days or the Temple days, Coach?
I think it's just the portal's probably the biggest thing, and I think a lot of schools maybe are getting away from what they believed in because there's such pressure on you now. I think people think you can flip the team really quickly. I don't know if you can win. If you look at the teams that are really winning, they're not really doing it all portal. And so, your team can change year after year. And sometimes, like I talked to our media this week, you think, oh, well, this is going to be an easier. You don't really know who you're going to be playing against because of their ability, because they can bring in transfers. Indiana's a completely different team this year than it was last year. We're a different team than we were this year than last year. So I think it's just the volatility of the rosters has changed. And I think you have to find that sweet spot of, I'm going to bring in high-end talent, but I'm also going to develop and grow and recruit high school players so that I always have this really strong base. And that wasn't something I had to really deal with back then. I'm lucky I went to the NFL and had that free agent experience and was able to, maybe to blend my time in college with my time in the NFL for this new hybrid model we have.
But in the NFL, there's rules.
That's right.
Like for everyone and contracts and unions and, obviously you deal with agents as well. But have you had a player come in your office and basically say, play me or lose me to the portal? Have you had something like that yet?
No, what I've had is I've had kids come into me and say, hey, coach, this school called me and said, hey, they can pay me, $15,000 a month if I transfer there. And, I love it here, but maybe I'm making, 1,000 here. And, like I said, sometimes my assistant coaches get upset about it. And I'm like, you guys do the same thing to me. You come to me and say, hey, there's, this school offered me more money to come be the linebacker coach or whatever. So, it's, as long as it's done the right way at the right time, I understand it. The biggest difference is in the NFL, there's accountability. If you tamper with somebody, you could lose a draft pick. Roger Goodell and Troy Vincent, they're not playing around. They're going to come take what's yours to maintain a fair playing field and an even playing field. And in college, there's really not that even playing field. There is no accountability. You can kind of do what you want. And the problem is when there's no rules or when the rules aren't followed, the people who follow the rules fall back, and the people who don't care about rules ascend. And so that's the challenge. It's the challenge of trying to run an ethical program and teach players the right things while also winning. It just makes it a little bit harder now.
Yeah, the issue I also have, Coach, is using the analogy where you're like, well, assistant coaches will come to you and say the other school would pay me more money. And let's just say they go to the other school. There is a contract that actually says this is how much money we will give you. Kid goes to another school with a promise of money. They might not get it. And as a matter of fact, they might not even play in the manner in which they've been promised to play because there's another kid coming in from a portal and there's no rule. Like what that's what the whole thing's like. When is there going to be some rules and who's going to be the ones to actually make them happen? Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I think with the House settlement, pending that all going through, I think the one thing I've been so impressed with my interactions with Tony Petitti. I think, trying to bring some teeth to this. I'm sure, Commissioner Sankey is as well.
Yeah.
Trying to bring some teeth to all this, because to your point, when we do these things, sometimes we say, hey, this is in the best interest of the student athletes. And that's a small percentage or maybe a medium, large percentage. But there's a lot of young people out there that left and went into the portal. Some because their schools told them, hey, you need to leave. Some because they were promised things. They went somewhere last spring because now you can transfer more than once. At the end of the spring, and the second school said, you know what, we don't have any use for you. Time for you to go. And now you have young people on their third school in 8 months. And sometimes chasing money, but sometimes because people are telling them, hey, it's time to leave. And so it's not what it was supposed to be, right? And so while I want a level playing field so that we can see who the best is, I also want I don't want all these young people that now they don't have a school, and now they could have maybe played somewhere, now they're not playing. Some schools are paying kids to come in for 1 year as like a third string backup. I had people calling me about with a kid legal in the portal, and they said, hey, is he a camp body? And I was like, that's like an NFL term,
right.
Like, hey, we're going to bring this guy in for camp. And so it's like most things in life. It's usually the adults who are messing it up. So I hope that gets figured out. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but I know in my talks with Commissioner Petiti, and I think that we have the right people on the job.
All right, let's finish up. You mentioned adults. Let's finish up with a man-child. How much has Compton played into your 3-0 start, Matt? How much has Will Compton played in here?
Man, I went home last night, saw my wife, and she, he does this amazing intro for the games. And my wife is like, hey, someone better tell Will he better bring it this week. We're going to need him this week. And I think what it's done is this. We had Bud Crawford, the pound for pound king, take us out onto the field versus Colorado. We've had Will Compton at the Colorado game. We had Will Compton speak. I think it's cool that people who've been loyal to the program, who are known nationally, are pouring into our players and are bringing excitement to our stadium because. We want to be relevant nationally. I want recruits, and we want fans talking about us. And so part of that's the way that we play. Part of that's winning games. Another part of it is guys like Will talking about us on Bussin' with the Boys, and making us a presence that we wouldn't be otherwise if it weren't for him and his loyalty to us.
Well, you're 3-0 since I went on the bus, Coach. Right. And I've been holding out for 700 days because they didn't have a motor on the bus, and I finally just caved. So maybe.
A picture a day was. I'm glad you finally did that because you saved some intern a lot of work every day. So.
Yeah, I was getting tired of it too myself, But hey, Coach, thanks for the time. Look forward to seeing you Friday night, and I really love watching you play. It's dynamic, it's exciting, and your QB is fun to watch, and what you're doing with them is innovative and fun. So I just wanted to have you on and tell you, congrats on that start, and I look forward to see where you're going.
Thank you so much. Good to be on as always.
Right back at you. That's Matt Rhule, head coach of the 3-0 Nebraska Cornhuskers, right here on the Rich Eisen Show, taking on Illinois on Friday night.
Yeah, man.
In Nebraska. Let me make sure I can figure out that game is on Fox, and you can definitely watch it right here on the Roku portal. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.